tell you what, result. And that has to go down to the people here who have worked so hard to put this event on, because they're getting back to normal, and this is one of the first conferences that they've done. So well done to them. Thank you for that, and we'll thank them later. We have a thinning out of the audience, as tends to happen in the afternoon. So if anybody is standing at the back and they want to come forward, don't worry, we don't bite hard. He smiled, but he's not moving. Right, okay, fair enough. This afternoon, what are we up to? So we're going to hear from Heathrow Airport about drop-off charges, something which I'm from Scotland, Edinburgh have had for many moons and can bite for a while, but we got used to it. And then we're going to move on to talk about the fuel crisis, because Steve's been doing some incredible work there. And then we'll get into an expert panel, more questions and answers, hopefully, and some of the issues that we're going to talk through are up there on the screen. So, it's that time for Heathrow, who've had to come all of what? Quarter of a mile? You must be exhausted. No problems with fuel getting here? No. Excellent. Good, good, good. So we've got Tony Cacavoni, which is just the best name of the day. If anybody's got a better name than Tony Cacavoni, they'll need to let me know. And Yasmin Augustin from Heathrow. Ladies and gentlemen, hands together. Heathrow.
Thank you, John, and it's absolutely great to be here this afternoon. It's my first speaking engagement for 18 months, so I do apologise if I'm a bit rusty. What I thought I would start with is just a bit of update on where Heathrow is and what the future is looking like at the moment from a passenger perspective, and then I'll talk and introduce the terminal drop-off, and I'll then invite Yasmin to come up and talk in a little bit more detail. So Heathrow, where are we at the moment? And just like yourselves as a trade, we have had an incredibly difficult 18 months. 2019, our last full year of passenger numbers, we had 80 million passengers travelling through the airport during 2019. We started off this year forecasting a princely sum of 37 million, so just under 50%. During the course of the year, we then had to downgrade that further to just a shade over 20 million passengers. So this year we anticipate just to be operating at about 25% of our normal passenger volumes. Put that into a monthly context. In April, we had 600,000 passengers travelling through the airport. In August, we had 2.2 million passengers travelling through. So we actually quadrupled the number of passengers over the space of about 3 months. And in December, we're looking at around 4 million passengers. So again, from August to December, a doubling again of passenger numbers. So we're having to really cope with stepping up that capacity in responding to the demand and all the ever-changing government restrictions and regulations. But what ultimately that has also meant is that we've lost, I'm going to say, a shed load of money as well through the course of the pandemic. It's approaching 3 billion or just over 3 billion pounds at the moment, which is an incredible amount of money to lose. And we've had the repercussions of that throughout the entire Team Heathrow community and the supply chain and the local community. So we've been in a really difficult place, just as you have as well. What I'm going to talk about principally today then is the terminal drop-off charge, and as John mentioned, it's not the first. We're not the first airport to introduce it. We're actually the last airport to major UK airport to introduce it. So it's not a new concept. We did propose a form of charge when we were going through our expansion plans, and we consulted on a charge, albeit at a much higher level than what we're proposing here today. And it was on a different type of scheme. It was more a perimeter-based charge than what we're proposing here today. So we've had this in mind for a number of years. The pandemic has focused our minds and our need to introduce it. And the original plan was to introduce something to really drive a shift in behaviour onto public transport, and we needed to do that to meet our obligations in what the government set us as a target to achieve in order to get permission for expansion. So it's been part of our surface access strategy for a number of years now. What we've done over the last 12 months is really refine that down into a focused charge, focused very much on the forecourts and a drop-off. So what does it look like in terms of day-to-day operation? At the moment, we're only operating off 3 terminals. Terminal 4 is still closed for normal passenger traffic. It's just being used as a red arrivals facility. Those passengers then get coached off to a quarantine hotel. So we're introducing it from the 1st of November this year across the forecourts at terminals 2, 3 and 5. There's a flat fee of £5 per drop-off. And what we've tried to do is keep the charge and the process as simple as possible. So there is no discounts if you're driving a low emissions vehicle. There's no exemptions if you're coming through our VIP suite, as many of your members will deliver passengers to our VIP suite. So it is really very much this is a charge for everyone. It applies 365 days of the year. And the process we've tried to follow in the development of the scheme is very much to keep it in line with what drivers are familiar with in terms of London congestion charge and also the DART charge crossing of the Dartford crossing. So you can pay the £5 up to 24 hours the following day. If you don't pay within that period, there's an £80 penalty charge that then gets discounted to £40. And that is very similar to what certainly what TfL do in London and also what Gatwick do as well. But what we would encourage as many members to do, and what I'm really pleased to say today is that actually we've had a really good take-up of creating those business accounts and prepay accounts as well. And that's a really good sign from our perspective that some of our messaging is landing. So that's a summary of the scheme. I'm now going to pass over to Yasmin, who's going to talk through a few more details on some of the exemptions. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So as Tony just spoke about, we are being private hire vehicles and operators. It is much easier for people to sign up for business account. Your business accounts will allow you to register up to 50,000 vehicles, and really it's just for some ease and convenience for you and your drivers. It allows you to bulk upload, so you can add up to, as I said, 50,000 vehicles. And I guess it's just a peace of mind that if your drivers are driving on our forecourts, that they don't have to each time remember that you have to pay. It can be automatically debited from a card that is on account, as well as if you don't have as many vehicles and you are just, say, a lone private hire vehicle driver, you can prepay for some trips, so you can buy up to 20 trips at a time, and every time you do go on a forecourt, it will just be debited out of those accounts. So yeah, we do recommend signing up for a business account, but if you in your household would like to sign up for a personal account, there's also a personal account functionality as well. Going on to a blue badge process, so a lot of private hire vehicles do help bring around some of our passengers who do have reduced mobility. If you are transporting and dropping off a passenger who does have reduced mobility, that passenger isn't expected to pay the charge. They will be exempt from the charge and have a 100% discount. We're allowing passengers who do have a blue badge to be able to register before their drop-off. So if they do know the vehicle registration mark, they can enter that in and get that free pass, which will then also show on the business account. So you can see that reconciliation of trips, as well as if they don't know the vehicle registration mark prior to the trip, they can do that throughout the trip and up to the day after the trip. So it gives passengers with reduced mobility the flexibility to still come via a taxi or via a private hire and have the opportunity to not pay the £5 drop-off charge. And this is just really a demonstration of you'll be able to see on your private hire business account the free trip as per se that the blue badge application has gone through, so that you will know that this trip is free and you won't be charged. So we can send around these slides afterwards as well, so you can have that demonstration. And then now just on to the black taxi exemption, which Tony is going to also come up and present with me. So we have said that until April 2022, black taxis that are licensed under the London Taxi private hire will have an exemption from the terminal drop-off charge. And the reason for that is because until they go through a public consultation, they cannot pass the £5 charge on to the passenger. As soon as we get to April 2022, regardless of the consultation, that exemption will no longer last for TfL black cabs, and that charge will then be, I guess, onto the taxi trade itself. But until then, we are exempting black taxis from the charge.
And it's just worth just highlighting that some of the reasons why we're having to exempt the black taxi trade for that short period of time, and it's very much to allow Transport for London to put in place their consultation in terms of changing the taxi meter fare, because as an airport we haven't got that ability or control over it, and there's a regulated process that Transport for London have to go through, and the earliest that could play out is the 1st of April. So regardless of the outcome of that consultation, the exemption for black taxis would fall away on the 1st of April.